Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to the webinar with the team at Magnox. It is our final webinar of National Apprenticeship Week on a Friday. Let's go for it. I am your host, Andy from Career TV. Once again, it's my pleasure to introduce the team. They'll be taking us through what they have to offer from an apprenticeship perspective and early careers. Also talk to their apprentices to see their experience. And remember, there is a Q&A at the end of the session. So if you want to leave your questions in the chat box, we'll pop it on in there. So without further ado, I'll let the Magnox team to commence. Off you go, guys.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Andy. And thank you to all of you for joining and welcome to the Magnox webcast. And I don't know if I'm pleased that we're right at the end of the week. We've obviously saved the best till last in terms of National Apprenticeship Week. So I'm Gwen Parry-Jones, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Magnox. And broadly, that means after about 30 years in the industry, I've ended up in charge of Magnox, which I'm very, very proud to be able to do. And what we want to do today is to talk you through what Magnox is, some of the experiences that people have when they're in Magnox, and we'll hear in a moment from Ellie and from Chris, but also to hear your thoughts and questions as we get towards the end of the hour that we've got booked today. So what I'd like to do to start with is just play a short video to let us know what Magnox is. So Andy, over to you, and fingers crossed for technology.
Think you know Magnox? Think again. We have a task of national importance. We're cleaning up the first generation of commercial and former research nuclear reactors. And our job is about to get bigger. Much bigger. Magnox has an exciting, enduring future ahead of it. We're evolving and embracing fresh challenges. Our mission to decommission 12 sites is set to expand dramatically. We're going to double in size. That's people, sites, and funding. We're joining with Dounreay site in Caithness, Scotland, and we'll be decommissioning 7 additional reactors across the UK. Plus, we're part of an even larger One NDA family. With even more opportunities and a greater variety of roles, we're on an exciting journey. One that will see us reimagine our business and strive for excellence as global leaders in nuclear cleanup. Help us achieve our vision. We're about safe delivery, best value for the taxpayer, and leaving a lasting, positive legacy for future generations. We need new teams encompassing a broad spectrum of skills and experience. People who share our values on diversity and inclusivity, who care for the environment and embrace our goals on sustainability and reaching net zero. In return, we offer excellent training, flexibility and long-term careers across the country. We're Magnox, and we're getting ready for the challenges ahead. Come and join us.
Super. I think that finished rather swiftly, but I think we got to the end of the video. So thank you very much. I don't need the slides up now, Andy, if that's okay. We'll just have the screens. Thank you very much. So I thought I'd just expand a little bit on some of the things that you saw in that video. So you've heard that what Magnox is today, and I put in the chat why we're called Magnox, actually, in case you were wondering, that we have 12 nuclear sites that we look after. So that's 2 in Scotland currently, 2 in Wales, and 8 in England. And on those sites, we have round about 3,000 people who work with us today. And we spend roughly about £500 million of taxpayers' money on decommissioning nuclear facilities across all of our sites. And as you've heard, not only do we do that, but we're actually planning to grow in terms of our future business. We belong to a wider family. So Magnox is part of a bigger family called the Nuclear Decommissioning Authority that some of you may have heard of. And in terms of the Nuclear Decommissioning Authority, We have a number of colleagues and friends who work in the different parts of that. So we have colleagues in Sellafield, we have colleagues in the nuclear transport services, and colleagues in nuclear waste treatment. So they do various things which are aligned with the work that we do. And between us, we make up the family of the Nuclear Decommissioning Authority. And the reason I mention that is that obviously careers are available across all of the different parts of the NDA, even though Magnox ourselves, we're recruiting 36 apprentices this year across 11 of our sites. So exciting times. And as I say, and as the video described, we're due to double roughly in size over the next few years. And that is because we're joining forces with our colleagues at Dounreay in the far north of Scotland, but also we're joining forces with other reactor types called advanced gas-cooled reactors. As they finish their operational life and defuel, they will come from EDF to Magnox. So we'll end up with a family which is roughly double the size of the business that we have currently. So exciting times. And in particular, there is obviously a great need for talented people like you. And we need you because we need the best people to be innovators, problem solvers. We need robot operators. We need demolition people, radiation protection, electrical, mechanical, civil people. We need HR, finance and business services. So we have a lot of opportunities across the whole range of the job families that you'll find anywhere. It is an opportunity to be the best version that you can be of yourself. And hopefully it's also a chance in terms of earning while you learn. So with that, I'm delighted to be able to introduce you to two of our, one is a past apprentice now in a job, but also one of our current apprentices. So I think first we're going to go to Ellie Rosewell, who's a RAD protection assistant and a previous apprentice. So I'll hand over to Ellie. Over to you.
Hi, I'm going to leave my camera off because we've been having some very minor issues. So my name's Ellie. I'm currently a radiation protection assistant based at Hinkley Point in Somerset. I just want to give you a little bit of a history about myself and my experience with Magnox. So I left school. I did GCSEs, sixth form, got my A levels, left school, didn't feel like continuing with education at the time, so I went to work on a riding school. That was some years ago, and I spent a lot of time working in the riding school. And then COVID hit us all, and it made me, like I'm sure it did with many people, the break from COVID made me reconsider things. And I decided I did want to join education again. I wanted to be back in a learning situation, a learning environment, being able to push myself. But at the same time, I had been out of school for about six or 7 years. I didn't have many qualifications in anything other than working with horses. So looking for it, you know, I always had a life I needed to sustain, so I needed to make sure I was earning whilst hoping to fulfill the learning side of things as well. So September 2020, I was 24. So like I said, been out of school for a while, and I started an apprenticeship at Magnox in Dungeness in Kent, which is the opposite side of the country to where we now live. So I had no previous experience of the nuclear industry, but I saw a job advert and it ticked so many boxes for me. Everything that was described, the educational opportunities that came with it, and of course being able to earn at the same time was a really big thing for me. I'm just going to answer that question. So I I was one of 2 apprentices that started when we started in September 2020, and I think personally, having had a working life before I became an apprentice, it gave me a better understanding of working life, because we have to work and learn. I was accustomed to the working side of things, whereas the other apprentice that started at the same time with me had come straight from school, and he wasn't really used to working in sort of the outside world, if you like. But equally, he started the same career path as me, and he's now got himself a brilliant career for life that he's been in since the age of 18, and he thinks it, he enjoys it just as much as I do. To just clarify, because I don't think I've said it yet, I was a radiation protection technician. That was the name of the apprenticeship that I started. And I was really nervous because it was unlike anything I'd ever done before. I'd gone from working on a yard with maybe 10 people that I knew unbelievably well, to suddenly working on a massive site with 200 plus people every day. But I cannot express enough how welcoming the sites are. And now I've been on Dungeness and Hinckley, it's exactly the same. The sites are, everyone is so friendly. You will not walk past anyone that won't say good morning or hello or how's your day been. And it made the transition so much easier. And I think that helped me really get into it, and really run with it. It something I got on really, really well with. I enjoyed all of it, the working side of it, the learning side of it. We had to go to college just on a block section. So we went 3 weeks out of a year, and we went to college and we did an intense training and exam, and then we were back on site for the rest of the time. So for that, but that's just for the apprenticeship that I was on. But most of it was, well, it was pretty much all site based, which was brilliant. And I was very fortunate, and I enjoyed it so much. I really pushed myself through it, and I had so much support from Magnox as a company and the people on site and my team leaders and department. And we managed to finish the apprenticeship ahead of schedule. We managed to, even with all the COVID restrictions and stuff. Magnox then nominated me for I've forgotten what it was. I got Apprentice of the Year award. I got nominated for, which, as Gwen was explaining earlier, that's not from Magnox. That's from the whole nuclear family that we work with. And then, so I finished my apprenticeship ahead of schedule, and then within our Magnox intranet, I saw a position offered at Hinkley Point, which was, again, something that ticked all of the boxes. And seeing as I saw a job that I really liked 2 years ago and it went really well, I thought, I'm going to try again. And yeah, they offered me a position as a radiation protection assistant now at Hinkley Point. So I'm back in another training role, which for me is brilliant because it's more learning, but at a higher level. And I can just continue with it. It could take me, because it's a higher level, it might take up to 4 years to get qualified to the next level, and then there's a role guaranteed after that, and then then with the AGRs coming in as well, the career longevity is indefinite. Well, not indefinite almost, but yeah, it's been amazing, and it's lovely to see new people coming in to the business as well. But I'll hand you over to Reese.
Hi there. Like she said, my name's Reese, and I am a level 3 MOE apprentice, which stands for Maintenance, Operations, and Engineering Technician. A bit like Ellie, I'm kind of older than normal apprentices. I'm 25, so I kind of joined the apprenticeship program a bit later than normal, but obviously I'm still keen to learn and go on as I can. But just a bit about me, I guess. I've always found like construction, the construction industry especially, fascinating. Ever since I went to college originally, where I learned construction in the built environment, but that's more residential construction. It didn't really take my liking, as I kind of wanted to see bigger builds in a whole, and yeah, bigger builds just fascinated me a lot more. And but yeah, so before accepting my current position at Hinkley Point A, which is where I work at the moment, I worked on the neighbouring site, so that's Hinkley Point C, which some of you may have heard about. That's kind of one of the largest projects in Europe at the moment. On that site, I was able to do various roles, from starting from fire watching, and then at the end of my term there, I was a confined space team leader. Yes, I know what you're thinking. Fire watching, that's not a thing. Believe me, it is. And yes, it is just watching for in case of a fire. But anyways, being on that site kind of made me enjoy working in the industry, especially like the nuclear construction industry and just nuclear industry in general. Knowing that I'm helped build a nuclear power station that will run for the best part of my life. And because of the love for nuclear, I applied to be an apprentice at Magnox, just as it's next door and it's kind of on my doorstep in terms of where I live. So that's kind of like the boring part of that way. Onto the stuff that you're here to talk about, to listen about, I guess, the apprenticeship. This apprenticeship is a really good one, in comparison to others I've seen, and my friends have been through, especially. It's just so friendly, and it's just so everybody can have a good laugh at work. As Ellie kind of hinted at, it's kind of like a big family at Magnox, and you may think like how like no work really has a family, but honestly it does. Like she said, there's you can't go past someone without saying good morning or hi. Everybody's really friendly, and even if you're having a bad day, they kind of like pick you up and make you smile, and everybody has a good laugh. So it's really, really enjoyable, especially when I'm on site. My first week, we were taken to the Magnox hub in Bristol, where we met Gwen and a lot of other high up people within the Magnox family. We got to ask them questions and see how genuinely happy they were to have us join them in the company. Was really like nice and rewarding. Never have I ever met the CEO of a company I worked for on the first day, so that was definitely kind of a nice thing to have. The next day we got like a kind of site tour of we got to see Albury, which is one of the decommissioning power stations in the Magnox fleet, and giving us an insight of what an actual power station looks like was really enjoyable. And then again, even when I went back to my own site, everyone was welcoming, and because normally when you start a new job it's quite daunting, but you're made to feel at home right away, so that's really enjoyable and kind of a nice aspect to have. For me, as I'm a level 3 apprentice, I spend my courses 4 years long. So the first year is at college, from September to July in the normal kind of school college term. The first year is kind of like a lot of varied things to do with like being a technician, maintenance technician, that is. So we've done units from like SolidWorks, which is like computer automated design, and then we've done like health and safety and electrical, maths, different units like that. The second year is a block release, so that's half at college and half at site. That's where I'm going to learn more to do with what trade I'm going into. And years 3 and 4 are all site based, so that's when the real practical element kind of starts with my course. The college aspect is quite full on, I'm not going to lie to you, but if you keep on top of your workload, it's easily manageable. And I haven't brought any work home from college, so I've just managed to get it all done at college and not have to worry about it when I come home. The tutors are really nice, really friendly. They're always there whenever you need them. If you do need like additional help or anything like that, if you have any questions, they're always there to help. But yeah, everything kind of does seem a bit like full on when you start. It's a bit of like an information overload, but everyone's there to help. Tutors, even your work family. It's really nice. I'm really enjoying my time at college. I mean, who doesn't enjoy starting work at 9 o'clock? Like it's great. But yeah, obviously, if you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask them, and I guess we'll answer them at the end. But yeah, I look forward to possibly meeting some of you in September.
Okay, thanks, Rhys. I think it's over to me then now, Andy, please, if we could have the slides up. Hopefully everybody can see me. And good evening, everybody. My name is Mark Williams. I'm the outgoing apprentice and graduate manager for Magnox, soon to be replaced by my colleague Gemma Coombs, who anybody that applies to Magnox will meet if they've been successful in joining the business. What I'm going to do is just talk you through the vacancies that are available and just recap on some of the things that Gwen said at the top of the meeting and that Rhys and Ellie have just touched on as they're going through. I'm just going to keep it brief to about 10 minutes. Any questions you do have, put them in the chat, and we've got that session at the end to actually talk through and answer some of your questions, maybe alleviate some fears, encourage you to join the business, and that type of thing. So if I could have the next slide on, Andy, please. So hopefully everybody can see that. Gwen mentioned early on about the number of sites that we have in the Magnox fleet, and these will be increasing as we join with Dounreay, as she mentioned earlier on, and the likes of some of the sites will be having a B site, an EDF site, an advanced gas reactor site joining us. So if we just look very briefly on the map as to where our locations are, so you can see them in real terms on the map. We've got 2 in Scotland if we work our way down, which is Hunterston A site and Chapel Cross. So they're Hunterston's at Ayrshire, looking out over the Cowles of Bute. Chapel Cross is just north of the border in Annan. And Wilver and Trowse and Manchurag are in North Wales, so Wilver on Anglesey and Trowse and Manchurag in North Wales and East Gwynedd they're actually in. Moving towards the southwest, we've got Barclay, Aubrey and Hinkley Point, and our main hub building is there as well. So the centre, the headquarters, if you like, are actually in the Bristol area for Magnox. And working our way around the coast, we've got Winfrith in Dorset, Dungeness in Kent. I think Ellie mentioned that she started at the Dungeness site in Kent. Bradwell is one of our sites that's already gone into care and maintenance, and working our way around to Suffolk is Sizewell A. If we look at the map, you can see there we've got Hunterston A, there's a Hunterston B, which is joining the Magnox fleet soon. Hinkley B, which will also be joining the Magnox fleet. There's a Dungeness B and a Sizewell B that are further down the line as examples, and Dounreay is right at the far top of Scotland. So what I'd like to do is actually explain the arrangements for joining Magnox and the vacancies that we have on offer. So if we could have the next slide, please, Andy. Okay, so as Gwen mentioned at the very beginning, we have 36 opportunities within Magnox, and we recruit on a cohort basis. So we're recruiting for the 2023 cohort. We've got various disciplines throughout that cohort, and various levels as well. So we recruit all from level 2 all the way up to level 6, which is degree level apprenticeships. So we've got a wide range of disciplines within that as well. So we are expanding the number of disciplines that we've actually recruited to, and also reflecting on areas of skill shortage as well, so we can develop the team to deliver the work that Gwen was talking at the very beginning of the meeting. And Magnox also has an age profile that needs to refresh its workforce as well. So there's people of my age, and you've met new apprentices already at this on the call, coming into the business, as the experienced members of staff are looking towards perhaps the last quarter of their career. So we need to bring people in. So there's a whole range of experience within Magnox and a whole range of age groups. So we do need to refresh the workforce. It doesn't mean that the workforce is stale and we've got a lot of people that are just watching the days go by. That's definitely not the case. But we do need to bring the workforce along with us as we move into new challenges, and actually take the experience and take the innovative ideas of the people coming from out of the business, and people just that have left school a little bit less time ago than the likes of myself. So what we've got then, I'm just going to work my way down here. So level 6 in Scotland is a level 3 apprenticeship if you're talking England and Wales, and that's a maintenance technician type position in mechanical and electrical engineering. There's various opportunities for maintenance technician types roles. So we're looking for the likes of 5 national 5s in Scotland, and including maths and English and a science. So that's in the Scotland sites. In Wales, we've got level 2 nuclear working. Health physics monitor. Ellie mentioned earlier on that she came into the business as a rad protection technician. Health physics monitor, they do interchange. So we've got those opportunities in North Wales. We've got radiation protection technicians, similar level, in the southeast of England and southwest of England. So Dungeness is an example, and we've also got them Harwell in Oxfordshire. So we've got vacancies at the level 2, again looking for GCSEs, put it into new money, levels 9 to 3. So we've got opportunities for those roles as well. So level 3 engineering technicians in North Wales, south of England, southwest of England, and southeast England. Again, looking for GCSEs levels 9 to 4 to come into those positions. So a good opportunity, level 3 qualification, like your A levels. And now we're moving into level 6 trainee engineers. I think there might be one of the questions in the chat actually about, do we do degree level apprenticeships? Yes, we do. This is the third year we've actually brought in degree level apprentices, and we're increasing in the numbers because of the success that we've had with the previous ones, bringing in level 6 apprenticeships. And you can see the obvious advantage. Again, picking up a comment from earlier on, earn while you learn. If you do an degree level apprenticeship, there's also no student debt from going to university. And in university doesn't suit everybody, so apprenticeship is a good opportunity. So trainee engineers, southwest and southeast England. We have a level 4 construction site supervisor apprenticeship in southeast England as well. That's at our Dungeness site. And level 6 project managers, degree level apprenticeships as project manager. Both of those opportunities are in England. And we're also bringing in a level 6 environmental practitioner. We've not done project management before, and we've not done environmental practitioner before, nor have we done construction site supervisor. So they're new to us, they're new to Magnox, but they're not new to the world of apprenticeships. So those are the opportunities that we actually have within Magnox. So I'm going to leave them up on the screen there, but I'll just to reflect on some of the comments that Reese, Ellie and Gwen have made earlier on. We mentioned the learn while you earn. We mentioned that we're a cross UK business. So we've got the devolved nations, Scotland and Wales, and predominantly with the largest number of sites in England is using the government standards as well. So we mentioned that we're using government standards in UK government standards in England for apprenticeships. We're using the frameworks in Scotland, and we're using modern apprenticeships. We're using the frameworks in Wales and modern apprenticeships in Scotland, which again is also a framework. Mentioned 36 vacancies. There is a good career path ahead of you. Reflecting back, EDF sites coming into Magnox, looking at tasks like final site clearance, taking the buildings down in a safe and environmentally friendly way. It takes time, it takes experience, it takes skill, and there's a career, there's an exciting career ahead of everybody now. You've got a lot of opportunity within the business. Okay, support from Magnox. So it's really good to hear Ellie and Reese say about the amount of support that they've had from their colleagues, fellow apprentices, and especially from line managers and mentors. So that reflects on how they've delivered their apprenticeship, how they've achieved their apprenticeship. And Ellie mentioned finishing early, and I know how early it was. It was actually quite a good move to actually get the apprenticeship through just beyond the minimum time limit, get the endpoint assessment done. And if I remember rightly, there was, in that particular cohort, we had a lot of distinctions and merits. Mustn't miss out the provider support, though. We get a lot of support from providers, and we are developing that provider network, which essentially we've done probably for the last 3 to 4 years, when Magnox apprenticeship recruitment has steadily increased. And we've learned from, yes, by some of the mistakes that we'd made, oh, James, we better support in this particular way, or we didn't appreciate that was what was required in the business. We've learned, we've honed it. We're actually into our 4th consecutive year of being able to recruit apprentices in larger numbers, which is encouraging for Magnox. It's encouraging for the people that are joining Magnox, and we've got a lot of experience from people that were apprenticed 30 years ago, over 35 years ago in the past, and people that have been apprenticed and qualified recently, the likes of Ellie, that can pass that knowledge on to new apprentices coming into the business. So hopefully that gives you some idea and encourages you to apply for Magnox vacancies. I haven't specifically mentioned salaries, because I would encourage you to look on the link. If Andy, if you could bring up the next slide, that will actually copy into the chat as well. All of our apprenticeships are advertised through a company called Energous, who are a subsidiary of the Nuclear Decommissioning Authority that Gwen mentioned earlier on. They're one of our partners, they're our recruitment partner. So all roads, whether it's social media, whether it's through Indeed, whether it's through a friend mentioning it, or follow this link, somebody that works with Magnox, follow the link, all takes you back to the Energous website. And there you'll be able to see all of the vacancies, the salary scales, the opportunities that are there, the providers that you'll be working with, and also the duration of the apprenticeships, because they're on the adverts. So I'd encourage you to have a look, ask questions in the next, what will be the next 25 minutes for Reese, Ellie, Gwen and myself, and we'll hope to answer those as best we can in relation to anything that you've heard so far, and any concerns and comments that you would like to make, or a little bit more information that you would like about joining the nuclear industry, or the nuclear family, as it's been referred to already quite a lot of times in this session.
Lovely, thank you very much. Now let's crack on into the Q&A, shall we? So Sam says, here's a good one. Obviously, we'll ask it towards everyone. What inspired you to work at Magnox, and what is the company's mission? Who likes to go first? Would you like to go first?
I can start, Andy.
Go for it. You go ahead.
The company mission, I think, is best covered by a question for Gwen. But what encouraged me to join Magnox? I wasn't a youngster. I'll have been 40 when I joined, and I just looked at the work that was going on, and living quite close to one of the sites, I thought I could actually be part of that. I could actually be part of the Magnox mission, because I'd seen the sign change quite a few times as I was driving past, thinking, what do they actually do there? I researched, found out what they did, and I was really encouraged by the way that we were looking at the environmental side of things for taking down the nuclear legacy, because everybody just gets, what do they do over the other side of that fence? And that was what I was looking at. I was thinking we could make a difference as compared to the job I used to do. I thought, well, there's a little bit more input I can put to here, and there's something more I can do. And that's how I felt was what attracted me to the Magnox business. And I can see that Gwen has just joined us now to perhaps look at to answer the second part of the question about the Magnox mission.
Hi there. Apologies, I had to drop out and rejoin, so I'm glad to be back. So the Magnox mission, I think, is where we were up to, was it here? Mark, I think?
Yes? It is, yes. I've given them an idea of why I joined Magnox. So
okay. A bit like, I guess, Mark, your story. I mean, I joined Magnox about 30 years ago as an operator when the nuclear power stations were running. And I've done lots of different things since, actually. But I came back to Magnox 3 years ago because, for me, it's very much aligned with what I want to do. Magnox's mission is very much aligned to that. And our job is to remediate, so to clear up the decommission, that is, the assets of the old nuclear power stations. So it's all about sustainability, actually, the mission of Magnox. It's about making sure that we finish off the job by tidying up the things that our power stations have left behind. And it's a really important task, because not only is it our responsibility to clean up after ourselves in every walk of life, but particularly if we want to build new nuclear power stations, it's important that we show that we can deal with the legacy of running nuclear power stations and providing safe, clean and electricity for 50, 60, 70 years, but then to tidy up when we've finished. So that is our mission. Our mission is to make the sites, to remediate them, to regenerate them, to ensure that they go back to the state that we found them in, really. So that's a really big part of the mission for me.
Great answer. Well, what about our apprentices, if you're still there? What inspired you to join Magnox?
For me, it was a bit quite similar, where I worked next door to the Hinkley Point A, so I kept seeing it day in, day out, as we had to get buses to the site every morning. So every morning you'd see Hinkley Point A and Hinkley Point B, and a bit like Mark, I was kind of interested in what they did and stuff like that. And I was always fascinated by construction, especially like nuclear, because it does sound a bit better than just normal construction, to be honest. And then I looked at apprenticeships and stuff like that, and I went back to college to do a nuclear engineering course, and my tutor actually pointed me in the direction of Magnox and said that he used to work there and had so many good years there and stuff like that, and that kind of piqued my interest of Magnox. So yeah, that's kind of why I joined, really.
Great answer. Great. Is that everyone's answer? Yeah.
Yes. So I can answer.
Ellie, go ahead.
That's all right. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So growing up, I lived near the power station, but not right close to it, so we didn't know too much about it. But nuclear is something that we hear in the news all the time, and everyone goes on about it, and there's such a public perception over it. So being able to know that my career is going to be based around safely decommissioning these plants in a way that's going to be safe for the people and the environment, and getting them into a safe state, is something, a little part of that's helped.
Good answer. We've got a lot of great answers here, or questions here as well. Here's one from Topher, can you share some of the challenges and opportunities that come with working in the nuclear industry?
I can have a go first, and then I'm sure there are others who'll have something to say. So the challenges of working in the nuclear industry is that, you know, our history obviously has been a high hazard industry. So nuclear material, although, you know, we run safely and securely run nuclear power stations, the material itself deserves a bit of respect because its properties, you know, you don't want it to come into contact with you or with anybody else. So that's the big challenge, is making sure that we respect the material that we're working with. So nuclear safety and security is right at the top of the tree in terms of things that are important, as is physical security of you as individuals. And I know there's a question further up in the chat actually on, you know, how do you ensure people are kept safe? It's right at the top of our priorities. So that is a challenge. You know, we've got big industrial environments that have had nuclear material in, and we now have a radiation hazard, and people like Ellie in her radiation protection job are keeping us safe. So that's one of the challenges. And I guess the opportunities are that, you know, and somebody asked a question about artificial intelligence, I think, in one of the questions that I saw. You know, we need to use the best modern techniques to deal with some quite old facilities. So artificial intelligence, for instance, is helping us by looking at predicting, for instance, when things might fail. So using big data to look at the past experience that we've had on bits of kit and looking at how that might help us. And also things like doing digital twins. So making sure that we have proper records of all of the facilities that we're going into. And sometimes we can only go in by camera. So some of those opportunities are to use technology, whether it's robots, cameras, remote access, big data, artificial intelligence, or even just plain innovation, you know, to decide how best to tackle a problem. And I think that's what makes the work so interesting, actually, is that there are quite a lot of unique problems. So it requires people to think differently about how we might fix it. So if you're curious, if you like technology and you like to problem solve, then we've got plenty of problems for you to have a go at, which we're solving bit by bit with the help of our workforce.
Amazing. Anyone else got any other answers for that
I think with the opportunities side of it, obviously with the amount of new reactors coming into the fleet for Magnox especially, the opportunity is kind of like limitless. There's no real ceiling that you could kind of get capped by. It's only kind of what you're going to cap yourself at. I mean, apart from the apprenticeship route, I'd imagine there's so many job roles opening up and stuff like that with the other reactors coming in and stuff like that, and ever changing jobs. You know, people start at radiological protection and then they go up to many different ways, and obviously a lot of people have had such a distinguished career within Magnox, you know, 30-40 years, where not one of them probably has stayed in the same job and probably drifted. So it's not a case of there's any like ceiling to your opportunities.
Yeah, great. Should we move forward, just because we've got a lot of questions here with the time we have? We've got a question here from Billy, and he says, how does Magnox foster a culture of innovation and creativity?
Again, I'll start off. So firstly, innovation, you know, is part of the way we do our business. And in fact, within our technical department, there are some research and development and innovation activities going on. So that might be, you know, how we want to treat the graphite in our reactors, you know, how we might deal with that later on, but also how we use Spot the Dog, who is a robot, you know, where we can apply Spot the Dog to some of our problems. We also have what are called KUKA robots, which are used to collect a lot of the intermediate level waste that you can't collect by hand. So innovation it's not just a function, as in, you know, a part of the organization that does innovation, but we ask everybody to think about how to fix the problems that are ahead of us. And I'd call it sort of innovation with a small I. It's part of day to day. So it's encouraged because we've got lots of problems that we're facing for the first time. So we don't really, in some areas, we've got to develop the risk assessments and the methods and the ways of doing the work. So innovation is sort of alive every day in Magnox, and everybody's encouraged, I think, to apply it to their job. I don't know, Mark, if you want to add to that.
No, I think I would agree, Gwen, because there's a lot of work. If we didn't have innovation, if we weren't looking for innovative ideas and looking at new methods of doing things, we would stall. So we need to have that culture is there all of the time. It's like the safety culture is there all of the time, looking for new ideas. We're working with old technology, Gwen, and I think that's an important thing. When these places were built in the 1950s, and we can't take them down the way they were built, so we need to look at using the blocks. And I'm glad you explained what a Puka robot is. That was one of the. I'm glad you put the explanation at the other one as well. So that's a bit of learning I've had from just now. So I think the technology that we're working with now, by default, looks towards innovative ideas and is actually using new technology and thinking of ways to take things down, move it, take things forwards. If we can accelerate the way that we manage the nuclear legacy, we do need to think of new ideas and new ways of doing things, which by default also have the safety element attached to them as well. So that's the way I've always looked at it. And there's some clever people out there. There's some clever people working for Magnox, and we're looking to bring in new ideas to help us take us that way further forwards as well, and using that technology. Simple things like if you look at the use of drones to look at reactor buildings at the top of reactor buildings, rather than sending somebody up or sending them down abseiling or up in a cage, you take away it's a safer option to go and actually have a look at it with a camera and have somebody to climb up. I mean, how clever is that? And how simple an idea is it? But we're now moving to that. We've moved to that sort of stage. Don't send somebody up in a platform as a human being when you can send a robot up and do it from the ground. That's where we are with things.
Nice. Great. On to the next one. Well, another one from Billy, splicing his question into two there. He was saying, how much is AI having an impact on the industry? And he also says, is it difficult to keep up with changing technology?
I think probably, Andy, we've answered part of that in our previous answer. We work with the NDA group, the Nuclear Decommissioning Authority group, who also are spending a lot of effort in developing new techniques. So I think probably not only do we keep up with the industry in this field, but in decommissioning, we're sort of leading it a bit. Because, we are part of a group, and, they're working in Sellafield, they're working internationally by taking shipments around the world. So there's a lot of innovation and technology that's being used in those businesses that we can learn from. And it's one of the things that I'm really keen when Dounreay and the AGRs the advanced gas reactors, come to Magnox, that we make sure that we listen to those people too, because they've got loads of experience that we can pick up on. But I think we're probably in some areas at the front of innovation, and in some areas, learning from others. So a bit of a mix.
Well, what about the artificial intelligence side of things?
So I tried to answer that in the last question. So I think AI is used in lots of ways in terms of big data and predicting what might happen to our facilities. For instance, it's really important, our as Mark explained, some of our buildings are older, and it's really important that we maintain the condition of those buildings so that they're safe for the time that they're still standing, and that when we demolish them, that we demolish them in a way that's obviously safe for everybody around. And, artificial intelligence can help us by modeling things. So it can model how a building might degrade over time. And it can also help us model some of the demolition. Buildings fall down in funny ways. And it's really important, as we know from events around the industry, that you're really careful that you understand how it's going to fall down. So, using AI will help us in those regions as well.
Great, good stuff. Question from Paula here. Can you talk about, or maybe to the apprentices here, can you talk about the involvement you've had in the decision-making process, and how's your input been put into the company's strategy?
For me, I haven't been on site much as a first year level 3, but the time I have been on site, we did a emergency situation where you've got an emergency scenario, and everybody kind of has to fall in line, and you got to adapt to this emergency scenario. And I remember afterwards, the person in charge, the emergency controller, asked if we had any feedback, and I gave some feedback, and that's kind of got put into the emergency protocol now, in a whole for the next one. So I mean, that's the only kind of feedback I can give on that, if that makes sense.
Great, good stuff. Anything?
Yeah,
from
and I'd have to. So Magnox has got quite a diverse workforce in ages and stuff as well, and to me, it hasn't made any difference what position you're in, whether you're an apprentice, whether you've been on site for 50 years. Everyone's opinion is valued, and if you've got something to say, that you will be heard. Especially, so I come on working on site as someone who doesn't know the industry, and you watch people that do a job that they've been doing day in, day out for 25 years, and you can say, do you not think you can do this better like this? And they'll go, yes, I think I can, thank you. And it's taken on board, and it is put into the company, or put forward in the process that it needs to be.
Great.
I think, Andy, something to add to that as well, and this is probably unconscious from an apprentice perspective and a new start to Magnox, is your ability to actually communicate and put your message across to a more experienced workforce. So that is a skill in itself, but the fact that Ellie and Reese have both, or Ellie especially, has made that type of comment, it reflects on the type of development that's gone on from people joining the business and bringing their skills and honing their skills to affect the decision-making process, that you may not think you've actually done anything at times, but if you can deal with an experienced member of staff as a younger person, as a less experienced person in the business, and affect the decision-making process in that safe, professional and effective manner, you probably do it unconsciously without actually saying, oh, well, I've directly affected that. So there'll be more decision-making impact from the apprentices coming into the business, the graduates coming into the business, the other direct hires coming into the business, than you would actually think. So it's without actually saying, oh, I said that and that was the outcome, but you would be part of the decision-making process without even thinking about it as well, because that's the culture that is developed and is continuing to develop within Magnox, that, as Ellie points out, the decision, everybody's opinion or view is considered as part of whether it's a working group, as a forum or whatever, or it could be just a meeting. Well, what about this? And then it goes on from there. So that's what I've found, and I've found when I've been speaking to apprentices, that the site's support team and mentors and etc. are very, very open to new ideas, which does affect the decision-making process and the outcome.
You're right. Very true. Very true. There's a few questions here talking about like apprentices, or are they aimed more at younger applicants, or what age are they aimed at, or what age do the apprenticeships start?
So
shall I answer that one?
Okay.
Reese, please make a point if you've got one.
So for me, this year starting, there's 8 apprentices for Hinkley Point A, and that's 4 MOE technicians, and that's for waste ops. And all of the waste ops are, well, everybody's younger than me, and a lot of them are straight from college or kind of more like 17, 18-ish area. So yeah, it's but again, the year before me, there was someone who started an apprenticeship at, I think, 28. So it's very diverse. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think what he said, because that's exactly it. Because we've got we do have 18-year-olds, and we do have the eldest person that applied for an apprenticeship and with Magnox back in 2020 was a year younger than me at the time. They were 53, and it's a change of career. And there's people that do apply for vacancies because they're looking for a change of career, or they could have come from one ex-forces as an example. Yeah, come out.
Yeah.
Why not change your career? Why not look for something different within the business? We do have minimum ages because of the working hours that we have and the nature of some of the hazards and the hazardous areas to go into. So and there's a reason for that. But the top end age group is bring the skills to Magnox, apply for the vacancies, and the age range, as Reece said, is usually between 17 to 25. There are some that are towards 30, which bring the skills to Magnox, apply. You will be bringing something with you anyway, whether it's directly from school or from another business. Communication, dealing with people, customer service, that type of thing. Bring it on.
Bring it on. Too right. We will expand on that on the other side. I know you were saying about how like the dangerous possibilities and that, but do you offer work experience to younger ones under 17, like school children?
So generally we don't, for the reasons that Mark just described, actually. But we do, I know, on occasion have people who join us for a day or two on a sort of a short-term internship sort of thing. But, we also do a lot of work with schools to make sure that the STEM subjects, that we talk about the opportunities. If there's somebody specific who wants to do something, then I would just urge you to contact your local site and see if they can help you in that regard.
Great. Here's a good one from Zach. What traits do you value the most in new apprentices?
I think Mark partly answered that in his last answer, actually. But I think for me, we can teach technical skills to people. So we don't expect you to know everything about what we do, but what you can bring and what we value the most is your attitude, because your attitude to learning, your attitude to being curious, your attitude to do with being innovative, all of those things are what we're really looking for. We can teach you the theory and the technical skills and the things that you will need to do, but what you bring with you in terms of how you approach your role, that's what we're really looking for. So enthusiasm, curiosity, those are the things that I really value. And I know, Mark, you have said some of the same things in your previous answer, I think.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Great.
If we take an example, Andrew, for that one, is the project management one. Project management is about dealing with stakeholders, dealing with other areas of the business, identifying the skill sets and making the decisions around that. So you're not working as almost like as a manager of a big team, and the big team could be the entirety of the business and the interfaces between the two, and that's all about behavioral skill, not necessarily being able to understand a wiring diagram. It's about knowing the person that can understand the wiring diagram and taking the advice and taking their counsel to make the decisions as well. So it's all behavioral.
Yeah. Well, to expand on that, is there anything the apprentices have learned throughout their apprenticeship as a transferable skill? Obviously, public speaking right now to 400 odd people, but is there anything else?
I think just not being afraid to. We've got quite a challenging mentality. So don't be afraid to challenge something if you see something wrong, or even if you see something like we mentioned before, that maybe they could do something a bit different, maybe it makes it a bit better, or quicker to do it this way, or but still in a safe manner. I think don't be afraid to talk to people, ask someone this, especially there's so much knowledge in the business, and asking those questions, nobody ever gets annoyed at you asking a question, because they're just transferring that knowledge and that skill that they've had for so long on someone that that's avidly learning. So I think that's yeah.
And Ellie?
Yes, so like I said, I had no nuclear industry experience at all. So not only have I learnt the technical side of radiation protection, I've learnt so much about radiation protection, so much about the nuclear industry, but also confidence as a person and my confidence in people. 3 years ago, I never, ever would have thought of even, well, the idea of doing a call at all with one person, let alone with 500 odd people. You're looked after, and you're allowed to become the best version of yourself, if you like.
That's good to hear. Thank you. Well, that is all we have time for National Apprenticeship Week and Magnox. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us and answering our questions and taking us through your offers as an apprenticeship. I have a little link I'm going to send in from our website that it's all of Magnox's available roles that we have to offer, that we're sharing. So remember, this is recorded, so if you want or missed anything, you can watch it again in the coming days. Have we got any final words from the guys at Magnox?
Just to say thank you ever so much to all of you for joining, and thank you for your great questions. And I'm sorry we didn't get to all of them, but really good to hear from you in that chat. And good luck, and whatever you decide to do, we'd be really delighted if you applied to Magnox. And I'd just like to thank my colleagues, because it's not easy to present to such a wide group. So well done, and thank you very much indeed, and look forward to meeting you sometime.
Great, thank you. Well done, everyone. And thank you very much for everyone for joining us for National Apprenticeship Week. If you want to keep in contact with us, Career Map TV on Career Map, just follow us on every social you can think of. And I'm sure with Magnox as well. Goodbye, everyone. Have a good evening. Have a good weekend.